Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us for today's BU Industry Insiders webinar, A Fully Baked Idea, The Accidental Entrepreneurs. My name is Jeff Murphy, and I'm an Associate Director in the BU Alumni Relations Office, as well as a proud alumnus of the BU Questrom School of Business. Today's webinar is sponsored by the BU Alumni Association and is offered to our 321,000 alumni around the globe. Throughout your career, the Alumni Association is committed to helping you define and achieve your professional goals. We aim to do this by providing alumni with access to a series of valuable online tools and social media communities. It's important that we get your opinion on how we're doing, so we very much look forward to receiving your feedback via a short survey that will be emailed to all of you later this afternoon. Today we have alumni joining us from places like London, Athens, Fayetteville, Arkansas, Chicago, Phoenix, Snellville, Georgia, and as always, dozens of Massachusetts alumni from towns like Watertown, Feeding Hills, Linfield, Sharon, Woburn, and more. For each and every one of you out there, please know that we really do value your opinion on this and every program that we offer. Before I introduce today's speaker, I have some brief housekeeping notes for you. As you know by now, this webinar is being hosted on the Adobe Connect online meeting platform. If you experience any trouble with the audio or visual portions of today's presentation, I'll ask that you please contact Adobe Connect directly at 1-800-422-3623. That number again, if you want to jot it down, 1-800-422-3623. Today's presentation is being recorded and will soon be made available for on-demand viewing on the Alumni Association website, found at www.bu.edu/alumni. Our speaker today is very eager to answer any questions you may have, and you're welcome to submit them throughout the presentation using the Q&A chat box you see located at the bottom of your screen below the slides. We hope to get to as many questions as we can during today's webinar. Now it's my pleasure to introduce our speaker for the day. Presenting from here in our broadcast studios on the BU campus is College of Communications alumna Julie Ganong. Food and love are undeniably connected at the Chococoa Baking Company for the husband and wife team of Julie Ganong and Alan Mons. When Julie and Alan talked about starting a new business together after both losing their corporate finance jobs, Alan recalled hearing former Federal Reserve Chairman Alan Greenspan saying that you do not need to develop a new product, but rather improve an existing one. That was it, the inspiration they needed to give new life to old memories, and the Whoopie, Chococoa's updated version of the traditional whoopie pie, was born. Accolades for their business include being named the #1 whoopie pie in New England by Yankee Magazine, endorsed by the Oprah Magazine, and featured in the Wall Street Journal, plus many regional awards. In just 7 years, the Chococoa Baking Company in the seaport village of Newburyport, Massachusetts has grown from making them in their kitchen to making about 10,000 a week. Julie holds an undergraduate degree in marketing from the University of Maine, and her BU degree is in public relations from the College of Communications. Julie is also currently enrolled in Salem's Enterprise Center's Million CEO Group. Julie, thank you so much for being here with us today. I really appreciate you coming by to share your story with us. I'm going to get your slide deck up so people can see them, the floor is all yours.
It is an absolute pleasure being here and an honor. And all you BUers, I have to tell you, I'm sitting here in the office and I'm looking at Commonwealth Avenue, and just those feelings of being on the campus in September and remembering how beautiful it is. And I have to tell you, I'm already feeling smarter just by being back on campus. So thank you so much, Jeff, and the BU Alumni Association. As Jeffrey pointed out, this is sort of a second career for both of us. Both of us were in financial service jobs. My background is PR and marketing. And both of us brought expertise to the business. We started it in 2009. And we felt it was one of our inspirations, was that we felt our best chance for success in our 50s was to go out and start our own company. And speaking of starting your own companies and being an entrepreneur, we're going to have a couple of questions here. Are you an entrepreneur? It's going to be one of the other questions. And I'm going to do a little bit of whoopie pie research, and you'll see some flavors come up on the screen, and perhaps you'll get to pick the next flavor. So getting into the presentation now. So we developed our own recipe for the whoopie. I grew up in Maine, and whoopie pie, Maine is one of the places that whoopie pies come from. And they're usually about 4 inches, and they're pretty good size. So we need to develop a smaller bite-sized recipe. So So we started doing that. We both brought expertise. My husband brought more operational and restaurant experience to the business. We started establishing branding immediately, right off the start with packaging, the colors, and everything, so that we were, and that's part of the the marketing PR background that we started working with that immediately. And the other thing that we learned pretty quickly was that passion is not work. If it's work and you put in this many hours, it's not going to be any fun. And to this day, 7 years later, both of us cannot wait to get up and go to work. So it is our passion. So let's talk a little bit about the product, which is on the next slide. So our product is called the Whoopie versus the Whoopie Pie, and we call it a twist on the classic for lots of reasons. One of them is the size. It's only 2 inches. Regular size Whoopie pies are about 4 inches. Our fillings are buttercream. Most other products are Crisco with marshmallow. We use all natural ingredients, which are only about 130. My screen just went black, so I guess I'll just follow along. Derek, the 4 inch in diameter is about 400 calories. Ours are only about 130 to 160 calories. We have no trans fats. We wanted to hit that 100 point, around 100 points with the calorie count. So that was why we called it a twist on the classic. It was more in line with today's desserts. It wasn't this huge oversized piece, which we knew growing up. Um, so that's some of the ingredients that we started out with for our success. There you get to see an image of what our product looks like. And those people in other parts of the country or the world, it's really simply 2 discs of chocolate with a filling in the center. And they're usually round. Other parts of the country may know them as moon pies or half moons. There's different names throughout the country for them, but they're generally around with a filling in the center. So when we got started, we started in our kitchen. We started baking for friends, and they really were our encouragement. And then we both lost our jobs, so we found this 450 square foot space in Newburyport, and everything lined up. We thought we were cooking with flour here because we had 3 flavors of whoopie pies to start off with. And right away, we started building our community with letting people know about it in the community, people coming in. And we knew we were hitting our stride with this because people would bring their friends on the weekends and tell people about us. And so that's how we dubbed the Whoopie ambassadors. We could not have done this without people coming in and feeling good about the product and feeling a sense of a sense of belonging to this was their product. When we did our ribbon cutting with the Chamber of Commerce, we called Newburyport the home of the Whoopie because no matter where we go or what we do, that will always be the place that we'll credit with starting and being so encompassing with our product. We went to Rotary clubs, we gave to the local schools, we did whatever we could do to build that community, which has been such a huge part of our success. And from there, it led to the local news covering us. As Jeff had mentioned, we got coverage in Oprah, we got coverage in the Wall Street Journal. One of the successes of the media coverage, which came pretty quickly, was we were able to be on WCVB Chronicle. And from that day, which aired 2010, October 2010 on Columbus Day weekend, we had a line out the door. And because of my background in PR and marketing, I was able to multiply out that media coverage and other people began to pick us up. And for example, we invited all of our Whoopie ambassadors to a local venue that had 5 television screens to watch our coverage of Chronicle. and that brought them together as a community, and people loved being there and watching us on TV for 5 minutes, and that began to build our audience and other people outside of Newburyport and the greater area finding out about us. So that's one of the ways that we really started out with the media coverage. And then on we outgrew that space in really less than 3 years, but we stuck out with our 3-year contract. At that time, we started there. A good week was 500. When we left there, it was over 4,000 a week, and we were really bulging at the seams. And now we currently have a 2,400 square foot space, and we're growing. Right now, we're making about 10,000 a week. And that's usually what our holiday level has been, and now we're doing that pretty much on a weekly basis. So that I think moving forward and looking at what this holiday season is going to be will be really interesting to tell. So what I'm trying to do here today is tell you a little bit about our story, but I'm hoping what I'm really going to do is shed a little bits of wisdom with you on what it feels like to be an entrepreneur and some of the challenges and fun and issues and things to look for if you're thinking about it or are one now, and maybe you'll feel like, oh, I'm not alone in this. Being an entrepreneur is not easy work. So our branding, as I mentioned, is very strong and effective, and it keeps moving forward because we stuck with things right in the beginning. What the font looked like, what the colors, we chose those right away. And every year we've had double-digit growth. One of the things you're seeing here now is our current Newburyport cafe. We also have a cafe which we use as our test kitchen. And behind that wall is our kitchen. And we've also grown from no employees in our 450 square foot space, or 1 or 2 a week. And this year we have 18 employees. So we are definitely growing with that double-digit growth. And if anybody is in the Newburyport area, we definitely invite you to stop in. We are open 7 days a week. And we knew that in Newburyport we could not just survive on just being a Whoopie Pie Cafe. So we, again, reinforce local. We bring in local bakers. We've actually helped get other bakers started. We use local coffee roasters, and it's a community meeting place as well. Again, building community, having that place. So what you need to do is mix it up well. You're constantly changing. You cannot sit still. As I mentioned, we had 3 flavors when we started. Today we are over 15. You're constantly thinking about, or need to be constantly thinking about, what's new, what do I need to be doing differently to keep pace, to keep your customers coming back, or to attract new markets. We added a gluten-free line, which is very popular, and it keeps growing. It's very popular with farm stands. One of the biggest surprises we had in doing this, and it started out with one customer who wanted to use us for the wedding, and now we do probably 50 to 60 weddings a year, and we work with caterers a lot. And wedding people use us for a cake. They'll tier the whoopie pies because they're a bite size. They'll use it as favors or as a dessert bar. What we're showing here now is we developed, because it's a gourmet product, we decided to make elegant packaging to go with it. So if you think about Godiva chocolates or some of those beautiful chocolate companies with boxes, we decided to go out and do that and do it differently. We also do decorated ones. You can see here, this is sort of our Mother's Day and flowers, which we keep going, but these are some ideas that we'll do for weddings with monograms or anything to work with that. And these are some of the fresh ideas. The other thing you'll see here, the wedding ideas. This is a cake that we've done. So a lot of brides will take cakes and just add the whoopie pies to it. It's a very New England touch, but it's also, people are looking totally different. So we're looking at trends in other markets as well, and what they're doing and what other dessert things are doing. We always have this sort of inside joke, whatever a cupcake can do, we can do better as a whoopie pie, because it's kind of a flat surface and really easy to eat. We also added shelf stable products for those markets that need it and people that have come to work with us. And the whoopie pies we sell either in our cafe, which is still probably our largest market. Newburyport is this very local touristy town and a destination for either local and people in the community, international or national travelers. So it's a good place to be. We also have our wholesale market, which for this year to date has grown the most with 15%, and that was only through July. So we're hoping for a big change there. And the other thing we do is mail order. We work with we do in-house mailing. We just ship it out anywhere in the country. Within 2 days, you will have this. So going back to fresh ideas here, this has become very popular with caterers because they're always looking for fresh new ideas to work with them. So, and then we wanted to, so serve well. This is something that we work with a fair amount. We continue to build our community in different venues. And one of the things that we want to do is to work with the BU alumni. So we are going to be offering for every package sold online or in our cafe, if you email us or just come in and say BU Love, we're going to track that and we're going to have we're going to donate. And our personal goal for this is that we would love to be able to raise somewhere between $500 and $1,000 our first year with the product. It's a fun product. Whoopie pies are sort of New England based, but desserts, everyone's always looking for that new dessert, what's different, what's happening out there. And another part of our building the community, staying with the slide, is that the local food movement has been our friend through the entire 7 years, because we kind of came in and rode the crest of what's new, what's local. People go into restaurants, they want to know, hey, what's being sold locally? What's the local dessert here? What do you have from a local farmer? And we've been able to, it's a perfect time to build a food industry because people do enjoy finding out what's in their area that they can buy or purchase if they're visiting an area or want to we get a lot of people coming in that will have visited the area, and then at holiday time they'll order it to ship it home because it's a nice memory of being in our area. So I'm hoping you folks will keep this serve well and will help support the BU alumni with our product if that's at all possible. I want to talk a little bit about growth challenges. And what some of the things that we've gone up against. When I talk about growth direction, when you have your own company, there are limited resources in what you're going to be able to do. So it's sort of like we have our cafe, so we talk about and we think about, should we franchise our cafes? We have a unique design in the cafe. Would that be good multiplied out in different communities, say a Boston, say a New York, say Washington, D.C.? Or is it mail order? Because we can stay within our own walls and just multiply out our marketing there. And also the wholesale, how can we grow that? You need distributors to work with. So that's one of the biggest challenges, is which direction do I grow in? And we've been sort of inching our way along with all three of them. And that's something you may, no matter what type of business that you have, you may need to do. You may need to work and try to figure out, I'm going to try this for a couple years and see how that goes, or I'm going to try this new innovation idea and see how that goes. And then it is about innovation, as I mentioned before. It's constantly coming up with new flavors. That's why your feedback today will be very helpful. One of our newest flavors we introduced this year was, for example, was Boston green pie, taking a twist on a classic another classic in New England. We try to offer not regular flavors that everybody thinks about, maybe a chocolate chip, but we've tried to gone the direction of orange cardamom, Boston cream pie, coconut, things to that nature to make it more fun and interesting for people, and again, innovative. We have played a little bit with different sizes, the gluten-free, huge market, listening to your customers. What are they telling you? What do they need? And gluten-free rose very quickly to the top. The other thing that's out there is vegan. In the food world, that has become a huge, in Germany, for example, it is one of the leading food trends in the world, as far in their country, as far as what people were looking for. There is a possibility of developing a vegan one. We're looking into that. Employees. It's attracting the right employee, and we have two different types of employees at a Chococoa Baking Company. We have the production employee, and then we have the customer service employee. And it is the nature of the beast that people come in for a while, so you're constantly training and getting the right people. And some people think they can do it, and they can't. And right now, with the economy the way it is, and pretty much full employment, sometimes the retail level it really does suffer. Um, but we try to be that community where people feel good about their kid working there. Sometimes it's their first job, and we try to be user friendly in being that place where kids maybe get their first start. We try to be a welcoming environment, but that level, and of course, everything that goes with that, with the challenge of the increase in, um, you know, minimum wage, because that's what a lot of our employees start out at. Because that multiplies out with payroll and things to that nature, but it's keeping and attracting their employees. And in talking to colleagues and professionals, I think that no matter what industry you are in, how that's going to work, and what that's going to feel like to you will always be a challenge. Like for the past month, with all the college kids going back to school, for the past month, my husband and I have taken a lot of shifts in the cafe because the person either is not trained yet, or not up to speed, or not available. And that comes to the growth challenges of many responsibilities with being an entrepreneur. You will wear many hats. And I'm in business with my husband and figuring out what we both brought to the table, in honoring the expertise of both of us, was something we set up right away. And that could be whether with a husband or a partner, or however you're going to set up your business. It is still our passion, but the days sometimes can be very long. And in my case, I looked around and I go, well, where is the IT department? Where is my assistant? And many times it is a party of one or two when you're first getting started. And that can be very, very challenging. And you'll get good at a lot of things and then you'll find your resources. And the other thing is too, you have to figure out what you like, and what you're good at, and what you enjoy doing, and what you're not good at. And one of the things that both of us agreed on pretty quickly, that both of us were not good at numbers, and that we needed to outsource all of the accounting and bookkeeping and payroll in order to keep that accurate. And then, for example, when we started this business, we didn't know that we needed a food scientist. And we have a food scientist now that comes in and they certifies all of our ingredients, and to make sure that all of the nutritional information is correct. Something I never knew that even existed. So you do find out a lot of things, but finding those resources and people to be on your team to help divide up those responsibilities are really critical to your success, because you can't have burnout. This is the long haul. It starts off great, and then you realize that you're working 12-hour days, and you have to think about how many weeks in a row can I work 12-hour days. So you need to think about that in your planning and about moving forward. And don't be afraid to take that time off to just step back and unplug. Very critical. Even if it's one day or a half a day, it will go a long way in helping you sustain and do this for the long term. So some of the other ingredients, just to summarize a little bit, and then we're definitely going to get to questions. So make sure you guys submit some questions. Some ingredients for our success is finding your passion. And some advice that I have been given is do one thing, do it well. What is your passion? Do you have a product? Do you have your grandmother's chocolate chip cookie recipe? You think, well, there are a million chocolate chip cookie recipes out there, but people love stories behind their product. And if you have a story and you can tell it, like in our case, a husband and wife team, um, downsized from their job in their 50s that moved forward and had this recipe and went out and gave it a try. 7 years later, we're knock knock, still going strong. What is your vision for success? That was really critical in the beginning. What do we call success? How do we build that in? How are you going to know when you reach your own milestone? So it's not just on this treadmill, you just keep going. You need to know that when you've got some benchmarks. Like for us, we looked up one day and we're like, oh my goodness, it's been 3 years. We've outgrown this space. We're already at 4,000 whoopie pies a week. We need to move. I think that came a little quicker than we realized, but we were already bulging at the seams and could not go any further. So important to have some vision for success and what that, and don't be afraid to put the dollar numbers down there, what you see, but also be realistic. Find your communities. There are people out there, there are groups of people that's going to be supportive that wants to know about your product. In our case, it's food. You have your different markets, it's families, it's kids. How are you going to reach out to them? And building your community, we did a lot of sampling in a lot of different places. We gave our product away for a little bit to get people attached to it, to know about it, and for them to try it. If you give something away, or sometimes it's what you have to do is just keep, and we still do sampling. We sample in our cafe a new flavor or a different flavor every single day because that is our best sales tool. People try it, they want to have it. So finding those communities. And do not be discouraged. I know just because you get up one day and it's really, really tough, um, it may not be that way the next day. You have to look for your beams of light and your little rays of hope and sunshine on those days when you're sitting in your office and you think, what did I do? Or what's next? And you don't have a clear vision. And you may be discouraged for a day or two, but there's always something out there. Or go back and look at those numbers and go, look how far I've come. I can keep going. Or again, in building your communities, who else is doing this out here? Who else is on your support team that you can call and just say, hey, I'm stuck. I don't know what to do next. And always be out there talking to people. And one of the biggest lessons I think that my husband and I have both learned, if you love what you're doing, it is not work. And as I mentioned, every single day we get up and we can't wait to go in there, see our customers, make whoopie pies, and greet our customers and talk to them and put out a product that we feel so good about, and it's so fun, it's happy food. And but again, the lesson is this can be multiplied out, whether it's an application or a makeup product or a whoopie pie or your grandmother's spaghetti sauce, whatever. It's just really a really positive lesson to know, if you love what you're doing, it is not work. It sort of concludes my presentation. If you want to talk offline, you can definitely email me at getwhoopie@chococobaking.com. We also have a website called Chococoa Baking. You can go in there and look around. And if you are interested in purchasing our product, you can just put BU Love in the comments column, and we get all of that immediately. And feel free to get in touch with me if you have questions, want to talk online. And I'd love to have any BUers come by our cafe and just say hello and introduce yourself. That would be great. So I'm glad to take any questions.
Awesome, Julie. Thank you. And I just put a note up on everybody's screen. You mentioned your email address. Did I spell that right? Is it getwhoopie@chococobakingcompany.com?
You got it right.
Perfect. 10 points
Thank
for
you.
me. We do have a couple of questions coming in, but let's do this. I also would love to find out more. I know we talked about, oh, and I just hit that note on everybody. Let's do this. I'm curious to know about who's in the room, and I know Julie's interested in this as well. Wondering where people are in terms of their stages of being an entrepreneur. So please, using that poll that I just put up, let us know where you are in the process. And while those answers are coming in, Julie, I'm wondering, just to get us started, I keep hiding things. I apologize, folks. Let's do this. Can you give us an idea of the timeline? You know, you and I met at a BU event a little over a year ago. I thought your story was fascinating. But from the time that you and Alan
building community, getting out there and meeting people. Yes,
right, exactly. From the time that you and Alan decided that you wanted to start this business, how long did it take you? And what were the sort of big pods of time in there that maybe surprised you about getting this business off the ground?
My husband always wanted to create a food product, and he'd always thought about it, but then he asked me to become engaged. And my first thought was it had to be chocolate, because chocolate does not have a season. Chocolate is something that people eat year round. And then the whole thing with the whoopie pie, he never got why I liked whoopie pies growing up in Maine, which in Maine, it's like when anyone's mom made a whoopie pie, it was always a good day. But he didn't understand, he didn't think the taste was good. So I think from the time he started, when we figured out that it was going to be a whoopie pie, it was a good 6 to 9 months. And the biggest surprise there was finding the ingredients in the combination of chocolate and what that took. And I really credit him, because he would work all day and come home and try this recipe every day. And he'd go out and he'd buy all these different types of chocolate. And one day, I remember on a Saturday, he didn't have enough product to make one, so he took the three chocolates that he had in house, the three types of chocolate, and he put them together. And when I tasted it, it was the difference. And I knew then we had a product, but that was a good 6 to 9 months. And then we had to work with butters. Like every product had its characteristic. You had to understand the chemistry of how products work together and flavor profiles. And because he had studied culinary in college a little bit, he definitely had more expertise with that than I did. You know, my background, as I mentioned, was PR and marketing. Once he had a product, I knew what to do with it. And then it was sort of like, how do you get started? And then I kind of thought it was just going to be him, that would just take this job, just take this product and go out and I would help him market it. And then we both lost our jobs, and we knew that that was the sign for us to go out. And right after that, we found a space, and everything else fell into place. We found the space, and 20 days later, we opened up the cafe, and we had people in our cafe from that moment on. We never had a day that people didn't come in and buy whoopie pies for the past 7 years.
Fascinating. It looks like I'm closing that first poll, Julie, and you can probably see we've got a lot of people today who are tinkering with the idea of becoming an entrepreneur. So I want to invite everybody. Now's a great time to ask somebody who's gone through a pretty serious career change and started their own business. Great person to ask some questions. Let's also, Julie, I know you hinted at doing some market research. I'm going to put up another poll question here for the audience, but here's an opportunity to weigh in with what people might like in terms of a new flavor. And while we're waiting for those answers to come in, I'm going to ask another question that Colleen has asked. Colleen's wondering, Julie, if you can tell us, if you had a chance to go back in time 10 years and teach yourself some lessons or tell yourself some things that you wish you had known then that you know now, what would some of that advice be that you'd give to yourself?
That's a great question, Colleen, because I've often thought about that. um, I think I probably would have done a little bit better understanding financial reports and how that all works together. I had a basic knowledge. I think that would be key for me, understanding quarterlies, uh, projections, and all of that. That was probably both of our weakest, and having that in place, I think would have helped us. There was a steep learning curve. You do learn it, but I think knowing that, having that background and having a clearer understanding of it would have been help. And because the other thing that's come into play really strongly since we've gotten into business, 10 years ago, you would have used traditional maybe marketing methods. Maybe you would have taken ads out. Maybe you would have run ads on TV or the press releases. And now the whole thing with social media has come into play so strongly. And I felt a little behind the eight ball on that. And again, if you're not strong in that, that would be another recommendation that I might have. Doing what you know and do well and enjoy, but as you run the business, and if you're going to be the head of the company, you're going to have to become a strong delegator because there's just not enough time. So I think financial and social media are the two big topics for me.
Great. It looks like our audience is basically, with the exception of Fig, Julie, telling you that you need to create all of these new flavors.
Uh-oh.
Even split between the
I can't
canola.
wait to go back and tell Alan that he's going to have 4 new flavors instead. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you everybody for voting. Some good questions coming in. Frank and Claudia have both asked questions about financing, and I think Julie, without being too delicate or indelicate, can you talk about, was this entirely a self-financed operation? Did you have to go out and get a loan? What was that process like? How long were you, how long was it until you were sort of financially solvent? Can you comment on that at all?
Sure, thank you. We started it with our own funds, money that we had set aside. So initially, no, we did not. So we had a good 3-year start. We did not take big salaries. We are still not taking big salaries, but we are sustainable for ourselves. We know we have to watch all of our expenses. I came from a corporate background, and you have to think in terms of the 401k, the pension plans, all of that. When you're an entrepreneur, that goes away, and that safety net sort of disappears as well. So you have to think about that when you're planning for this. When we went into the second location, we really needed to do a build out on that. There was some improvements that needed. The space was very tired. We decided that because we were going to we could be in this location for a while, that it was a very good investment. And we can still keep the space. We may very well outgrow the walls of the current space. Like right now, we're looking at a second shift probably by Christmas. But we can still keep the cafe and keep somewhat of a kitchen there, and even though the major production will be off site. So we did take money out for that. And that was within the first 4 years. The end of the 3rd year, we took money out when we decided to keep our capital that we had and use that we did go and get a loan for that. But we haven't borrowed any other money other than for the build out. We've been keeping it close at hand.
Congratulations on that.
Yes.
Iris has a good question. Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm fine.
Iris is wondering how you found your first professional kitchen with all of the rules in Massachusetts.
It was a bakery before. And this is an interesting talk about building community. The bakery that closed and the person that was next door, I had served on the local theater company board, and this gentleman worked next door and heard that the bakery was closing with the landlord and the baker, that she just needed to close the business immediately. And he called me within like 10 or 15 minutes. So we ended up being the first one in line in order to have that opportunity. So again, being in your community, being known, the gentleman knew that because he had tried some Whoopie pies, that we were looking to have a bakery. So that's kind of how it came into play, and just being networked in the community and people out there helping us and wanting to see us succeed. And that's, again, building the community where people feel um, they feel connected. They want you to succeed. Everyone wants to be with a winner. And we have people that are constantly like, have you tried this? How about this? And also if someone has gotten bad service and it's not to the level of service that they think it should be, our customers will come in and tell us. And that's what we want. I mean, not to the point of being mean or anything to that nature, but they know our level of service and what the expectation is. So that is really helpful. I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, I think so. A couple of questions coming in about your growth strategy. You talked a lot about that. Frank quickly wants to know how have farmers markets played a role in your strategy? He seems to think that they work really well here in the Cambridge-Boston area. So what's your experience with that?
When we had our little bakery, the 450 square foot space, which was on one side of town, not downtown. The first thing we did was we went to a farmer's market that year to be known, and we could direct people right to our new location. But I absolutely believe in farmers markets. I think it's innovative. I think people go there. I know so many people in the food industry that have used that as a jumping off spot. You get your feet wet. You get to try things. Uh, People who go to farmers markets love the innovation. Because we have the cafe, we've cut back on doing farmers markets because we have staffing. But if I'm looking at new markets, that would probably want to be one of the first things that I would do. Do they have a farmers market? Can I go there 1 or 2 times a week and try it? And it's low money. It's a big time commitment, and we have a perishable product, which makes it a little bit challenging. But farmers markets definitely it, it really allows you to sample your product and get feedback really quickly.
And again, as you mentioned, it's part of building community, right? You're literally out in the community
Yep.
with other, people, similar vendors, and people who are concerned about keeping things local. So that makes tons of sense to me.
In our case, it's our market because people want what's local, what's fresh. Um, and it's a great test market if you're trying different products. It's right there. People will tell you pretty quickly.
Some great questions coming in. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to combine two questions from Judy and Lee. Again, about growth plans. Julie, have you considered franchising? Do you have a plan to scale the business nationally? And at what point would you feel like you would need to raise some capital? Can you tell us, some insider info about your plans for the future?
Nationally, I think regionally, yes. I think our goal is to become a strong regional brand. When I say regional, I mean probably down to New York City. The problem, I shouldn't say problem, never like the word problem. I always say challenge. It sounds much more positive. The challenge we have with whoopie pies is outside of New England, it's not a well-known dessert. Whether or not it's scalable nationally, I'm not quite sure, but we are looking at we're sort of beginning to investigate this. One of our strategies is can this be franchised? Can this be multiplied out in these, maybe not as big of a cafe as we have in Newburyport, but taking that model of local baked goods, local coffee, and having those cases of whoopie pies there. Like if you think about, I'm sure since many of you were in Boston, Georgetown cupcakes, taking that example and see if that can be multiplied out as well. If we were to do that, we would definitely need to raise capital for that. And I'd have to learn a lot more about franchising. It's something I'm very weak in as far as my knowledge base. I know people do it, but I'd have to really figure out how that would be done. And then picking out the key areas. And for us, the first key area could probably be Boston, but it could be other like Portland, Maine, which is a great foodie place as well. And could we pick 2 or 3 locations, even in New England, then stretch it out to New York City and maybe down to DC? But a strong regional brand, I think, with the whoopie pies would be definitely part of our growth strategy.
Interesting. Iris has asked a really interesting question. Can you talk a little bit more about the process for finding packaging? Obviously, a little bit of what you're doing is a mail order business. So what was that process like, and
Uh,
how did you finally land on the best packaging to ship your product that would keep it fresh and not ruin it?
so what we did there was packaging is a hair puller outer. There's so much out there, and I never knew how expensive packaging is because you have to buy it in such large volumes. What we did to figure out shipping nationwide was we ordered products from vendors that we liked, vendors that we trusted, and we ordered probably for a couple of months the most we go online and we find these really complicated desserts, and we would have them ship in, and we just kept studying their packaging, what we liked, how they packaged it, what did we like about it, and we did an analysis on that. And it took us a couple of months. We saw a lot of different things. What matched our brand? This is a gourmet product. So people, when they open it, they're going to give it as a gift. How are people going to feel when they open it? And then, of course, branding. We do keep the box pretty simple. We do put our stickers on it instead of doing boxes up with our brand all over, which is very expensive. We used stickers on it, so to keep the costs down. But we needed to find an inflatable that had an RF factor that we could insert into the box, and how long. Then we had to test how long that product was good for. Was it good for a day? Was it good for 2 days? Could we get out to 3 days and shipping it to California? Because then you begin to look at your shipping costs, and that's very expensive. Then you start calling your Federal Expresses, you call your UPSs. What deals can you get? Of course, it's all based on volume, so it takes you a while to get up. But those are all the things that we had to explore. And then again, we just started looking and ordering things online to try different things to see what worked. And we ended up with a packaging, which for the mailing, we've not changed. It has been effective. We know that it can only be 2 days. We track every single package. We know the minute it arrives, and if it's not going to arrive, we're right on that phone with the customer saying there has been a problem. What do you want to do? This is what we can do for you. Do you want us to cancel the order? So being proactive and knowing where all those orders are, which for the holidays and corporate gift giving, which is a nice part of our holiday business, it's a lot of work, but giving that top-notch service, because it's just not your reputation at stake, it is their reputation. When they're sending your product to their biggest client, you want to make sure that it arrives exactly the way that they expect it.
Thank you. Great question from Claudia. She's asking if you can break down this idea of building community a little bit more. Is it local networking? Is it specifically making contacts in the food and restaurant industry? Is it having a great social media? Obviously, Julie, you've got a lot of PR and marketing experience, but what would you say are I think that's a big question, but what would you say are the big three elements for you and your business in terms of building community?
I think her points are right on. There's not one thing that's going to make it work. It's all things all the time. It's keeping your messaging out there, keeping it in front of people. So for us, because of where we live, and Newburyport is, and I think a lot of New England communities are like this, they appreciate the small business. And Newburyport is one of those great places that people love to do business with local businesses. They like to talk about it. They like to visit you. So that's good in getting known and staying top of mind. But the social media is probably the most critical. We've gone through a challenge with our website that we have had not enough search engine optimization, which of course is key in keeping it out there, having that on your website, but also the Instagram, keeping your products out there, presenting them in different ideas, different ways. So it's all things. It's, trying to get press whenever you can. But press is like Oprah. Magazine, when we made Oprah Magazine, we got a huge bump up. People came, they ordered immediately. They came and saw us all summer long. We still get people. We had people in. The magazine came out in 2012. It is now 2016. People still came to us this summer and stopped in. I kept the article because I knew I was going to come to New England. It's all of that. So you do get the pop up with, the press, but it's that constant messaging and going out there and building your audience. And also in your field, absolutely, whether it's food or computer technology, the Restaurant Association, you do need to keep, you need to be that go-to person that people, when they want a quote, when they need information, if they're going to be doing events, that they'll think about you. So it's building all and keeping all those relationships as well. It's a lot of balls in the air when it comes to keeping the brand alive out there. Some days are better than others, for sure. And then 2 or 3 days will go by and you go, oh my goodness, I haven't posted on my Instagram account, or I haven't done a posting on Facebook, or it's being creative when you're got 30,000 other things at hand. But all of those things are very critical.
Great. We're going to take this one last question from Anthony, something that I think is probably on everybody's mind. Julie, how on earth did you get Oprah Magazine and the Wall Street Journal to promote?
I'm going to go back to my theme of the day. This was amazing. It's building community. We had a customer who loved us. We didn't even know who he was. And on a snowy blizzard, literally, and when my staff is staring at me going, why are we open? Because it's a blizzard outside. In walks this family, or it looked like a family. It was a woman with a child and a gentleman. And she walks around the store and she's looking, and a customer brought in the executive editor of Oprah Magazine. And she hands me a card. And she said, you have to send these to Oprah and Gail. They're going to love them and they need to know about it. And if they like it, they will go in the magazine. This is when we learned a lot about how good our product can stand up to the heat. And a lot about the Oprah audience, because the magazine came out in June and it was one of those summers that was 100 degrees in June. And we're shipping these things overnight because it's so hot in California. These people are spending $75 to $80 to ship it overnight. But Oprah said it was good, so Chococoa Baking Company sent it out. But she walked into our cafe through a customer. So you have to be nice to everybody.
There you go.
You just never know.
Well, Julie, congratulations to you and Alan on all of your success, and of course, thank you for having been, supporting BU. I'm delighted that you and I were able to meet, and I'm really, really glad that you were able to share your story with all of our alumni in the community today. So, on behalf of the BU Alumni Association, thank you very, very much.
It has been an absolute pleasure, and I think I went through a graduate program part-time when I was working 40 plus hours a week. And I think one of my strong lessons that I learned that really helped me know that I could be an entrepreneur was through that, you go through the budgeting process at work and reviews and projects and all of that. I was still doing my master's in PR, and I got through the program and I realized, you know what? I can do anything I want to do. And I really give credence to that when I'm sitting in my office going, what did I do? But I know through getting through that degree, working full time, that I can do anything when I put my mind to it. So I really lend BU as part of my success and inspiration to becoming an entrepreneur and being that fully baked idea.
Well, thank you again. I want to thank all of our guests for participating, and I specifically want to thank our donors who've supported BU in the past. We can't do this work without you. We've got an incredible lineup of webinars coming up in the next few months, and our next presentation will take place in October is actually about how to best transition to a management role for the first time. So perhaps some of our younger audience out there who haven't yet become managers would be interested in that. You can view the schedule for our upcoming webinars and register for them now on our website, which again you can find at bu.edu/alumni. And as always, if you or any BU alumni you know would be interested in presenting a professional development webinar like this, or have a topic that you'd like to showcase for the BU Alumni Association, please feel free to contact me at the Alumni Relations Office or by email at jtmurphy@bu.edu. Thank you everybody for your time. Have a great day or a great evening wherever you might be.
Thank you.